TYT Sports and Rotowire, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Ben Mankiewicz, Chris Liss, managing editor of Rotowire. Chris, how are you?
I'm doing well, Ben.
You had an okay week?
Yeah, all right. Yeah, 2-1-1.
2-1-1. We're again, we've made it through 6 weeks in a survivor pool.
Yeah, well, I'd rebought a couple times.
I only had to rebuy once. Here's a look at.
But I got to use up the lines last week.
You got to use up the line. Oh,
yeah.
Nice. Yeah. I've picked horrible teams, so we're all both in good shape.
Right.
So here's your picks from last week. I think you went 2-1-1. You were right on many of the ones that I criticized you for, or I didn't criticize you for. I just didn't have the guts. In fact, I thought they were the right pick, but I didn't have the guts.
Very cowardly on your part.
Very cowardly. I did go ahead and I bet the Saints.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
good.
So I made some.
That was the easiest money of the week.
Let's take a look at that real quick again.
The one that actually I feel a little annoyed about is KC. I know you had them too.
Mm-hmm.
They so should have covered. I mean, Charkandrick West fumbling on the penultimate drive. I mean, just them. Andy Reid, 4th and 2. But this is part of the thing. This is this is priced in. I can't really use this as an excuse.
That's right.
4th and 2 at midfield with a minute left in the game. They're down 10-0. A minute left and a half.
Yeah.
And they're down 10-0. And he doesn't want to go for it because if he fails, then they'll have it in the exact same situation you have it in right now.
Yeah.
But it's 50-50, and you're down 10, and you're an underdog. Of course you go for it.
I don't think it's 50-50. It's 4th and 2. I think it's probably, you should, most
55-45.
Right. You can
Right.
Get it, score, you're losing. You're losing the game.
Yes, you're losing.
Try to win. It's maddening.
He chose to end the half rather than have a 50-50 shot at getting points, or maybe slightly better, and that, to me, is terrible. But I'm going to do something really gross. This thing will... We'll wait on that.
All right, but and I'd like it if you watch. I'll send it to you. Watch our Turks and Jerks from Monday because any decision that Andy Reid made in that game was largely ignored by the unbelievable boneheadedness of Jim Caldwell and John Fox together. How that game didn't end in a tie is a mystery. Okay, so you're right. Although you're right, it's built in. That's what the Chiefs do.
Right.
That's
I
what
can't
Andy
use that
Reid
as an
does.
excuse. So 2-1-1. Again, Lions muff 2 punts, but again, it's the Lions, and that's a little bit built in. But I'm happy with it. How did you do?
I think I had a bad week. I think I went 1-3. I thought I did better. I did actually better in life. Well, it looks to me like I went. Because I was. I lost. Buffalo was just wrong, and Arizona was just wrong, and Kansas City was just wrong. But I won the Niners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in your defense, and I'm not going to defend you that much, but in your defense, a little bit. Pittsburgh, if Vic stays in that game, maybe you do get it.
I think I steal a cover.
Right.
I also, I bet that game later at 5, so that one wasn't covering.
Well, I have 3 of my 4, and I'm going to pick one on the fly, and I think I've already picked it, and this is what I was saying about the gross thing that I'm going to do in a minute. My best bet of the week is the Colts. I just think the Saints, they got their game. They always play tight with Atlanta. It was a Thursday night short week. It was just a perfect setup against an undefeated team that was due for sort of a letdown. Saints beat them. Great, okay? Now they're going to go on the road to play Indy. Indy's got Luck back. He looked reasonably healthy last week. Their offensive line sucks, Indy. But I think Luck is going to light this crappy defense up. And I think that, in Indy, they will win comfortably, like 33-24, a decent-sized margin. And the line is only, 4.5, 5?
I think it's 4.5. And, if you believe, look, something's obviously wrong with the Colts, but they're not going to go 5-11. They're going to win games, and Luck is going to have some games where he lights up the scoreboard, and it just seems to me very clearly this is very much one of those games.
Yeah, I like him a lot. All right, and then the other one I like is the Jets. Now, the Patriots are great, and I want to minimize that. And they really got to Luck a lot in the past game. But the Colts offensive line is terrible. The Jets D might be the best defense in the NFL. I mean, it's them or the Broncos or maybe the Panthers. But there's a few defenses, and the Jets are one of them.
They're my defense in my main league, and I don't want to use them this week against the Patriots, but there was no chance that I was letting them go.
Yeah, you weren't dropping them, right?
No, not dropping them.
And for a defense, that says a lot.
That's right.
Because you want to drop defenses willy-nilly.
You don't want any week where you carry 2 defenses.
Right, unless it's one that's really good.
Yeah.
So they just got Sheldon Richardson back last week. That's another huge boost. He's one of the best defensive linemen in all of football. They played without him, and was still very good. And their offense is above average. I mean, Ryan Fitzpatrick is not bad. And then you've got Marshall, who looks like himself. Yep. Decker is very underrated, very solid. Chris Ivory is a top 10 fantasy back right now.
I don't know what happened. It's not an accident. You watch him, you're like, wow, I don't remember him being fast, but he's fast.
No, he always had this burst, right? Yeah. He always got hurt a lot, and he's always able to run people over. This is a good offense, above average, I'm going to say, top 10, maybe the 10th best offense in the league, and maybe the best defense in the league, and they're getting 9. I know it's in New England, but there's just no way I can go the other way here, so I'm taking the Jets.
Yeah, I don't. If I had to bet the game, I'd take the Jets. And I agree with you about. I both agree and disagree about Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Right.
Like he's fine, and he's better than he's clearly better than the crop of quarterbacks that we have put him in with for the last 3 or 4 years.
Right.
But that said, in a game where because the Jet defense is not otherworldly, that the Patriots at home could put up 34 points. Can the Jets put up enough points? Can Ryan Fitzpatrick put up enough points to hang there? Because I think the Patriot defense is better than I thought it was at the beginning of the year. So I would probably stay away from that. But if I had to bet it, I'd bet the Jets.
Okay, my third one, which also just hit me like obviously this is the case, was San Diego just laying 4 at home against Oakland. I mean, if it was 7, I would still take San Diego. I mean, these are equal teams or roughly equal? No, of course not. Philip Rivers is, borderline Pro Bowl quarterback every single year. Derek Carr, that experiment, who even knows if he's going to be their quarterback in 2 years? I just think 4 is just not enough. This should be 7, 7.5. So I thought this was too. It almost makes me nervous how obvious it is.
Yeah, I saw it at 4.5, and I like the other way in this game. I believe that the Raiders are different, and I think that guy is going to be the quarterback in 2 years. He just looks like it to me. It looks like a professional quarterback. And I'm now completely of the belief that something is wrong with Philip Rivers. That you can't, not physically wrong with him as a human. I don't mean like he's a bad person, but. Only if you'd asked me, name a quarterback who'll throw for 500 yards and his team will score 20 points, I'd be like, oh, it's Philip Rivers.
Right.
They're going to run out of downs inside the 5 twice.
Yep.
He'll throw an interception, gets run back from a touchdown from the 2, and then go up and down the field. And it's 2 straight weeks now where you see everything that has got me about Philip Rivers. So maybe it wasn't all Norv Turner, that this is a guy who will at one point in the second half have 16 first downs, and the other team will have 1, and the game was tied at halftime, or they were ahead at halftime, and they will find a way to lose that game. Like how they lost to the Steelers is it was 16 first downs to 1.
Right.
How did that happen? But because Philip Rivers, I guess, and maybe there's a structural thing, maybe his total lack of mobility, maybe that makes it difficult in this modern era when the field is crunched inside the 10. I don't know. I'm grabbing at straws because he looks so good the rest of the time.
Yeah, 500 yards, I think 0 picks, and they scored 20 points.
20 points is amazing.
How do you do that?
How do you do that? Yeah.
And that was the Packers defense that had been stingy against the pass.
That's right.
He did throw a million times. He only had 7.7 YPA. It wasn't like he was so efficient. They just didn't run the ball. I just think that, look, you could look at it as there's something deficient about Rivers, and that's why he fails in these situations. I'd also look at it as the Chargers are way better than their record, and to be equal, basically considered equal with Oakland is ridiculous. Okay, so here's the gross thing I'm going to do. And I don't feel good about it, but I just think it's the right thing to do. Even on the East Coast Offense podcast, I said I would rather be wrong with the Steelers than right with the Chiefs. But I was just, in the sober light of day, I don't agree with that. I'd rather be right, okay? So I'm taking the Chiefs, +2 at home. I think that Landry Jones had a great, that big play to Martavis Bryant. But I think that they're going to scout him. They're going to expose him. The Chiefs defense actually played pretty well in Minnesota, shut them down completely in the second half of that game. I think they're going to shut down Landry Jones. And the Chiefs are actually going to win this game. So my 4th pick is the Chiefs.
Yeah, it's interesting. The Steeler fans will tell you that there was a reason why the Steelers signed Mike Vick. They'd seen Landry Jones in the preseason, and they thought this guy can't play quarterback in the NFL. And Steeler fans think that, and the Steeler brass thought it, and then now have recognized that Vick can't complete a forward pass, and that's a problem in this league, especially when you have Bryant and Brown and Bell to not be able to use those guys. So I'm curious about that game because my temptation is to think there's something magical about the Steelers and get on it while it's going, and they're playing the Chiefs, who will find a way to screw this up. But mostly what I want to do is watch that game because I'm incredibly interested in what happens. I've just traded in my main league for Bryant. I had the guy who had the number 1 waiver order sign Bryant, and then I traded him Randall for Bryant. And that gives me Brown, Bryant, and Bell. So
you're all in.
Let's go. I figure that's my only
trade for Roethlisberger.
I am in. Let's go. I need big days from the Steelers.
All right, who do you like?
Oh, so I like. Let me make sure I get these right. I'm intrigued by San Francisco, and because it's Thursday and that's the game that was on, I'll probably do that. But I like Houston.
It's the game that's on.
Right. It's covered by the act. I like Houston getting 4.5 at Miami. I think we saw some competence in Houston. They have maybe the second best receiver in football. A healthy Foster can move the ball. And 1 week after a disastrous 1-3 start to the season where even their 1 win was bad, One big win last week over Tennessee does not convince me that was Campbell, right? Is the
Dan Campbell, yeah, former
that
Giants
that
tight
he's
end.
figured this out completely. So I like Houston getting that many points. That one's easy for me. I like that game a lot.
I had Miami initially, and I switched to Houston because I kept thinking Miami's going to bounce back. They can't be this bad. And finally, I was right. But now that's priced in.
Right,
so now I almost reflexively just said, oh, yeah, of course I'm on Miami. They're going to bounce back. Wait, they're laying 4.5.
Yeah,
okay, now
they don't deserve to be laying
switched
4.5. And I think like San Diego, I think Houston is there's no way Houston is as bad. They have a coaching advantage in this game, and there's no way they're as bad as their record.
Yeah. No,
So go back to the lines real quick. I like. Let's go move to the Sunday night game. I saw the Giants were terrible. The Eagles were kind of bad too, at least for the first half in that game. And I think we should stop underestimating. I'm calling it off. I'm tired of underestimating Carolina. It's a field goal. They're at home. They're better. They win.
totally logical, totally makes sense, but I'm taking Philly. I don't know why. I just have a vibe that their D is going to show up. Cam Newton has been great. He has played out of his mind. But I just think they're going to pressure him, harass him. He doesn't have weapons to get the ball out of his hands into anybody good's hands. And I think Philly, the only negative with them is Sam Bradford's been so terrible in Carolina, who has a very good defense. He could extend that. But I think as long as Bradford doesn't cough it up 3 times, if he does 1, maybe 2, I think Philly ekes it out.
Then I like Minnesota as we put up those lines one final time. Minnesota in Detroit. Look, man, I'm not Jim Caldwell. I can't do it. I mean, they had no business winning that game. Kicking that field goal down to 7 points with 2:50 left on 4th and 4 from inside the 20 was mind-numbingly dumb.
Oh, terrible.
And the fact that it worked out for him is a tragedy of unknown proportion. So, and I think what the league is doing with Minnesota is they're going to let these guys get better and better, and they're letting them win when they don't even play well. Eventually, they're actually going to play well. And that running game will get going. That'll make Bridgewater better. The defense is good in Minnesota. I think Detroit will find a way to blow that game, and if I can win it by a field goal, I'll take the Vikings, even though I don't love taking a young quarterback like Bridgewater on the road.
Yeah, I'm not touching that game. I think I picked Detroit narrowly, but I don't feel good about it in my thing. But no real feeling for that one.
The last game I have, we already talked about. I love the Colts. I love the Colts to win that game by a lot. Okay, so let's recap. Chris, your picks.
So my picks are the Colts. That's my best bet over the Saints, laying 4.5. My other picks are the Jets getting 9 over the Patriots. I think they'll cover. I don't think they'll win. I like the Chargers laying 4 at home against the Raiders. And then holding my nose, I am picking the Chiefs getting 2 at home against the Steelers.
Best case scenario, you go 2-2. You can't do any better.
Yeah.
My picks are similarly the Colts. We're both on the Colts. Vikings, then the Vikings on the road in Detroit, 2.5, given 2.5. Carolina at home against Philly, given 3. And then finally, I like Houston getting 4.5 against the Dolphins.
1-2-1 for him.
No, I'm sorry, 3-1. 3-1, you're mistaken.
I think you'll have a push. I'm pretty sure you'll have a push this week.
I
can feel it. I feel the
oddly
push
enough,
coming.
I think it's going to be Houston getting 4.5.
Yeah, that's right. And you probably only have half-point lines.
That's right.
I'm saying
That's
that.
right. Yeah. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. That's this week's picks here. Check out Rotowire, rotowire.com. Chris is the managing editor. Listen to his podcast, East Coast Offense. And Chris makes these picks in a column beating the book every week on the site. Thanks for watching, everybody.